Hello everybody. Today we're going to paint some daffodils. The perfect time of year to do this because they're just starting to appear. I'm going to show you how to draw out daffodils from different angles, and I'll give you tips to help you get this right, as daffodils are quite tricky. I'm going to show you what colours I use and why I use them, then onto my painting process with some correcting techniques that are always useful. So get ready to watch along, draw along and paint along and have fun. When drawing daffodils, I like to start with the open end of the trumpet first. So I'll just make a rough oval there, and that's the end of the trumpet. And we'll just bring it down. So it's a trumpet shape like that. And then following that oval shape, I'll draw another oval, making sure to come out a little bit here to allow for the petals. So I'll draw another oval. And that's where the petals will lie within. So this one, let's say there's a petal there, and then the petal will come down here. So you're kind of roughly staying within that oval shape. So then if I just make them a little bit darker so you can see, and then there would be a petal behind there. So this oval, this trumpet would be out like that, and then you'd have the stem coming from the very centre there. It's quite thick and it has a kind of skirt on it, a kind of frilly skirt that comes down a little bit, and there's your stem. So I'll draw another one. I'll make it a little bit less sideways, so let's go for the trumpet area like that, and then we'll put the next oval that's going to sort of keep our petals in place round it like that, and then the stem of the trumpet is coming down like that, and then we'll get our petals drawn in, staying roughly to the outer oval shape that we've drawn. Just put a wee line there to show the inside of that one. So then the trumpet's always got quite a frilly edge to it, and then you wouldn't really see that part of the stem with this one because it would be behind there. So it would come out like that and then down here. Let's draw another one. If I draw one face on, so let's see, if I draw the centre of the trumpet in a light circle, and then there's the frilly trumpet. Now we won't see the stem of the trumpet because it's facing us straight on, but I'll just draw a circle around that to keep us roughly right, and then you draw your petals round it like that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We've got 6 there, and then the centre of this goes inwards. Then you have the little stems that come out of the centre there. And again, you wouldn't see this part of the stem because this is face on, so the stem would be going backwards and then coming down like so. So that's the gist of how I draw daffodils. I'll do one more. Let me see. So that's the trumpet. We're going to do one that's not fully opened up, so it's coming down like that. And then so we've got the circle of the trumpet is facing that way, so we'll make the flowers do the same thing. We'll draw the same sort of shape, just larger, and that's where all the petals will be coming out. And then the stem would come down here, down like that. Okay, so I hope that's helpful for you. I'll just draw in a couple of long, slim leaves. They're not too pointy. The ends of them, they don't have a sharp point at the end. Okay, so I hope you can see what I was trying to show you there. So you're drawing the first oval shape, and then you're drawing a larger shape in the similar angle and direction around that oval shape. No. So you're drawing an oval shape, then you take the base of the trumpet down like that, and then you're drawing another oval shape that's similar direction and angle, and you're drawing it around the outside of the base of the trumpet. So you're allowing space for a petal here and all the other petals around behind it there. And then you've got the stem, which is relatively thick stem, and it has a kind of papery, frilly skirt, I'll call it, on it, and then the rest of the stem continues down. So I'm going to draw out a couple of daffodils here. So I'll start with my top of the trumpet, and I'll put my bigger circle around there. Okay, so we don't see the trumpet in this one. The centre of it is facing straight towards us, although there's a little bit of a circle area that we see there. So if I just go in and make it quite frilly. And then again, we don't see the sort of root of the stem. The stem's coming out from behind there, and it's coming down. So let's say it's coming out and it's coming down here. Okay, and I'll draw another one beside it. So I'll just lightly draw the end of the trumpet area. I'll draw a couple of wee lines that are showing the trumpet coming down. That's the end of the trumpet, so I'm going to follow this. So we need to leave space for the petals to come down here, and I'll take them up and round, and we'll allow the trumpet to stick out past the petals. So if I follow these guidelines, okay, and I'll make the trumpet a bit more frilly. And again, we don't see the root of the stem going right into the flower, so it would be coming out here, and let's make it come out there and down like that, yeah. A couple of things, these little, I don't know what they're called, but let's just draw some of these in. So here, they would be coming up from there. This is the sort of top of the trumpet area. And I think we'll have a couple of leaves coming up as well. We'll have one more coming up behind this one. So pencil marks, if you paint on top of pencil marks with watercolour, you would think you would be able to rub the pencil marks out, but you can't. So I'm gonna, because daffodils are such a pale yellow colour, these pencil lines will likely show through. So I'm going to use this soft rubber. It's a kneadable rubber, and just roll it over the pencil lines to make them a bit more faded, and that way we are less likely to see the pencil lines. So, well, I'm not rubbing, I'm just pressing down on the pencil line, so I can still see them, but they'll be less evident when it comes to painting. Now, the lines that I really don't want to see actually are these guidelines that I drew in. So I can take these out, I can take them out. So just rub this soft rubber on top of them. So these guidelines are there just to keep our flower shape realistic and believable, because it's very, very easy to end up having the wrong angle, the wrong sort of proportions of petals as they perhaps go back, or so they're just there as a guideline, and it's good to rub them out if you can. So before I start painting, I'm going to have a little play with colours to see what colours I'm going to use. This here is lemon yellow. I'm just cleaning it a little bit because it can turn green very easily. I often use this to add into my greens. So let's see. I think lemon yellow might be the base colour I'll use for the daffodils. And this one next to it is a warmer yellow. So let's see what that looks like. This is cadmium yellow. So that's slightly warmer, so I will likely use that as well. Now I'm going to have to think about the colours I use for the areas that are darker. So I have an orange here. I'm not actually sure which orange this is. Let me see. So I think that might be quite useful. But we're going to need a more neutral colour for the darker areas. So I'm going to mix a yellow, and I'm going to add in some violet. Because if you use colours from the opposite end of the spectrum, they can often just neutralise each other down. So there we go, we've already got quite a sort of neutral browny colour. So if I put that on there, I think that might be quite a useful colour for the darker areas of the daffodil. Another colour that might be quite useful to add in to the daffodil colour is a touch of green. So this is hooker's green, so if I add that in to there as well, it gives quite a neutral green, so that might be quite useful for some of the shaded areas. I'll push that up and I'll do a little swatch of it there. Okay, if I'm going to move this away and I'm going to write down the colours I've used. So this is lemon yellow. This one is cadmium yellow. This is hooker's green. I think it's quite like a sap green, which is what it's called with other brands. This is Winsor and Newton. This, I'm not sure. Wait till I see actually. Permanent Yellow Deep is what this one's called. Permanent Yellow Deep. And this was lemon yellow with a violet mixed together, and it gives us a nice muted brown. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put a watery wash of the lemon yellow. That's a Bruno here. All over the daffodil. I think I might make it a little bit more muted. Not muted, gosh, you couldn't call this colour muted actually. It's coming out stronger than I expected. A watery wash is what I wanted to say. A watery wash of the lemon yellow all over both the daffodils. There we go, that's a little bit more watery on this one. We don't want them fluorescent. If you can hear the flute playing in the background, that's Barry. So I hope that's not annoying for you. Okay, so we wait for this first wash to dry on both the daffodils. I'm still waiting for my daffodils to dry, and a way you can tell if they're dry or not is if you touch the paper, and if it feels in the slightest bit cold, it's still not dry. You need to wait a little bit longer. Now, I've actually done another little mix here. I've mixed up some cadmium yellow with the smallest touch of the hooker's green there, to give us a more muted yellow. And we're going to use this to draw in some sort of creases on the petals. So if I just go in now, they should all be following the direction of the petals into the centre. And now I'm going to use a little bit of the lemon yellow plus violet, and I'm going to put a slight edge round some of the petals to try and distinguish them from each other. I'm just washing my brush off, and I'm going to blend these a little bit with the clean water. There we go. So I'll go to the other one and do the same. So it's very subtle. I'll zoom in a little bit for you. Push this up. And let's get some of these little subtle lines coming out. just blend it out a little bit. So I'm now going to paint a little bit of the very centre of the trumpet, and I'm using the lemon yellow and violet mix that I made up. So if I paint that in there around the little stems that come out, and I'll do the same over here, leaving a little room there for this side of the trumpet to show. So I'm going to wash my brush and go back in with clean water and pull that up a little bit. So what I want to do is add a little bit more of the warmer yellow, so that's the cadmium yellow, to the trumpet area, because often they're just a bit more orangey yellow than the petals. Okay, and I'll pull that down, and the same for over here. I hope you can see the difference in the yellows. The yellows are very subtle, but you do want this warmer colour on the trumpet. And what I'll do is I'll also add in the orange round the rims of the trumpets. Actually, I need to add in a little bit more of that warmer colour onto the trumpet here. Okay, so now I'm going to go for my permanent yellow deep, which is the more orange colour. Just try and get some of that on my brush, and I'm going to go around the very edge of the daffodil. Make sure you have it quite bumpy and quite frilly. So if your line is too smooth, just paint outside of the line. And we'll do the same for this one. And it's okay that the paint is still wet just now, because you do want it to blend in a little bit. And if it's not blending as much as you would like, you can just go and give it a helping hand. So I can see I want the centre of this one to have a bit more shade in it. So I'm going to use that lemon yellow and violet mix again and just pull up a bit more shade. Blend it out. And I'll do the same with this one. So while everything is drying off, and to help us give us an understanding of what should be darker and what should be lighter, let's paint in the stem and the leaves just now, and that will help us understand what should be a little bit darker once we've finished this. So I'm using a mix of actually it's just the hooker's green with a touch of the cadmium yellow in it, just to brighten it up a little bit. Now I could go straight across there and straight down there, but it would mean when I go up and paint this one, that little square would end up being a little bit darker. And you don't want that. You want this to seem as if it's all one leaf. So although it will be painted in the same colour, I'm avoiding it just now so that this will all be one straight smooth colour. So where am I going with this? Now I don't think I drew these leaves out very well, because I can see that this one, if I follow the line down, it should come like that. So I'm going to curve it round here. If you can see, I had originally drawn it in here, but that wouldn't really match up with it up there. And then we have this one, so the stem would be coming out here, and that's it following down here. I don't know if you can hear breathing noises, but if you can, it's Bruno. He's lying in the sun at the window, breathing with his nose right on the window, making a lovely mess. So I have to be careful not to smudge the stems I've already painted, because they're still a little bit wet. Okay, and one more over here. Now this one's got a little bit of a curve to the top of it there. So I will just paint the whole thing, but I'll go back in and paint a little bit of darker green in this area here, because the light's coming from this direction. So that bit there that I've drawn in as a curve would be in the shade. So let's follow it down. It's coming down here. Now I can see I've missed out a little area where the stem should be. So the stem would be coming down here, and it should also be seen here. So I'll just fill in that little bit in between the petals. Actually, I'll take it down the side of the petal. So to add in a little bit of contrast in the stems and petals, I'm just using a darker shade of the green. So it's the Hooker's green plus a tiny touch of Payne's grey added into it. And I tend to put that at the tip, or where there might be a little bit of shade. So I'll just blend it out. Oh, there we go. That's Bruno having a good old shake. wee bit more at the top here, because of course watercolour dries a lot paler than it is when you've painted it on when it was wet. And I'm just darkening that bit behind there because it's behind the leaf. It's behind that leaf. So just a wee bit of shadow for it. Now, I had said I was going to darken this little bit of the leaf because it's facing away from where the light is coming from. So I'll just do that for just now. I'll darken in here and this little bit coming out from behind the leaf, the petal. So this one here is the stem of the daffodil, so I'm going to darken the leaf that's behind it. And then just blend that out. Blend out this one as well. We don't want any hard lines. And I'll darken this area here to distinguish it from the stem. So you're just really putting the same shade again on top with a touch of a darker colour added in. So it's a really small touch of Payne's grey I added in to get this darker colour. But sometimes you don't need to add another colour in, you just need to add another layer of the same colour and that will darken it. So the paint's dry, so I'm going to put another layer on the inside of this leaf. And just maybe darken some other parts of the leaves. So because the light's coming this way, this trumpet area here is casting a shadow all the way round here. And, oh, I should have done this one first so I don't rest my hand on the wet paint. But it's also casting a shadow round this area here. And then I'll just blend it out a little bit. So it's not such a sharp line. I'm also going to take that slightly darker colour and go around the edges of some of the leaves as well. And I won't leave them like that, I'll blend them out as well. This house is chaos. There's flutes playing, there's dogs whining, there's kids playing loud music. There's dogs outside. I've done a little bit over here as well. Okay, so I can see this little part of the trumpet is still too pale because it would be in shadow. So I am going to put a little bit of the lemon yellow and violet in there as well. And I'm going to go around and put another layer around here because I feel like this bit would be a little bit darker. So if I do that, then I'll blend this bit out. So the area around the trumpet here, I would like to put the bits that would be darker where the sun's not quite hitting them. The sun's coming from here, remember? So I would like to make these colours either just a little bit more intense with a little bit more darkness to them. So I'm just going to add that colour round the rims. I blend it in ever so slightly, just by touching it on the inside. But it does mean we've lost our orange a little bit, so I'm going to go back in and add some of the permanent yellow deep on the inside of that. And that permanent yellow deep orange colour needs to be taken all the way around. I'm also going to go back in and add a very watery wash of the orange towards the centre here, because I feel like the colours are just a little bit too cool. But I have to be careful not to start to overwork it and lose the delicateness. I had got a splodge of colour from me resting my hand on top of the daffodils. I've got a splodge of colour over here. So what I've done is I've got a clean glass of water, and I'm using a different kind of brush, a kind of sturdier brush, and I'm just washing that splodge away with the clean water. Now, I think I did go too dark in here, so I'm actually washing away some of the darker colour to try and retain some of the paler coloured leaves there. So I'm lucky in that the colours I've used are able to be lifted a little bit. So I'm just going back in with that brush with clean, absolutely clean water, and pushing back the colour a little bit. So you can do that with some colours, but not with all colours. If these were staining colours, then I wouldn't really be able to do that. So that's helped a little bit, but I do think I'll need to go back in. Oops. I do think I'll need to go back in and put the shade back into it, but I'll wait till that dries. Okay, I'm going to take my really, really fine brush, and I'm going to go in to the bottom of this one. I've got the dark green that I used on the tips of the petals, and I'm just going to darken it at the very bottom there, just to help define it. And I can do the same thing with this one. And then I'll just pull it up a little bit with clean water. And I'm going to go back round, because I washed out some of the shadow, I'm going to go back round and define some of the edges of these leaves again with this really fine brush. Edges of the petals rather. And the same over here. And this one looks too much like a thick line, so I'm just going to blend that a little bit. And then I can reintroduce some of these lines that I've probably lost from washing out the shadow. So I'm quite happy with that. I hope you give it a go. Probably the advice would be to be delicate, not to be too heavy-handed, and be careful about adding too many dark colours or layers. Okay, thank you very much for watching. Please put any comments or questions you have into the comments, press the subscribe button, and I'll see you the next time round. Bye bye.